For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in, wherever you tune in. I don't know how. As I've said this before, you found us. That's what matters. I don't care what you're listening to us on. You're listening to us. That's the bottom line. 30 minutes of time-wasting fun is coming your way. And today I'm gonna call this the dating show. We're gonna talk about dating and dating apps. And I thought initially to have our executive producer Bonnie Winters on. You know, she's been on with us quite a bit lately, but she's been married for 40-some years, and so she's even more far removed with dating apps than I. So I didn't know what sort of insight, although it would be interesting to get her take on it, but I don't know that she fully understands how they all work and things, so it could actually more just be a laugh at her expense, which I'm fine with too. But so coming up, I want to talk about dating apps and my thoughts. We've talked about this a few times on the show before, the superficiality of dating apps and social media and the part that plays, and also just what dating profiles and things are like. So I hope you stick around. It's going to start on The Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I wanted to take a moment to talk about dating apps. Now, we have covered this topic a few times on the show, and let me, in case you missed it, let me be upfront. I have never been on a dating app. I have somebody, I'm good, I've never been on one. Now, I have seen people using them. For instance, he's 20-something-year-old cousin now. I think he was, let me see, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, so he might have been late teens. Nevertheless, let's round it off and say he was 20 at the time. And this was very exciting for him because we had a family dinner. We were at my aunt's birthday party, and like a youngster as he was totally intrigued with his phone. Remember, I wrote the book called Put Down Your Damn Phone already. So for me, I'm kind of like, hey, look, we're all together here. Pay attention to us. We're sitting right in front of you. And so eventually I kind of took it upon myself to sort of coach him along because, again, who is going to know what young women want better than a gay man? And so I stepped in. Now again, keeping in mind, this is a hormonal young man. So, he's looking at, the cleavage and the whatever. So I had to question him as to what he was actually hoping to get out of the app. Were you wanting something serious, or were you just wanting to, hook up? I didn't know. So it was, I don't remember the app that it was, though, at the time. It was a dating app, though. It wasn't a hookup app, from what I recall. Anyway, I don't want to give them shout-outs because And so, again, I mean, as long as you're upfront with your intentions on these things, then I don't see it to be a problem. But if females his age are hoping for something different, right? If you're on a love and relationship app, well, completely different than what you're hoping for. And so I did actually take issue with him. I said, look, if you're wanting like fun, good times, if you know what I mean, that's one thing. But if they're legitimately looking for a relationship and things like that, don't be a dick. Don't screw around. Well, not literally, but I mean, like, don't mess with their minds. That's not cool. And especially in the days of apps and social media and all that other stuff, that can very quickly come back to haunt you. So, you know what? Don't break hearts is what I'm saying. Don't lead them on, making them think it's something and then it's actually not. That was actually my first piece of advice. Now, I would have been my mid-30s, I guess, at that point. So, I knew what I was talking about. And quite honestly, it's just logical. I don't think that it's got anything to do with being a gay guy. I think it's just, don't lie to people. Don't lie. If this is my intent, here's, I'm putting it out there right at the beginning. If that's not cool for you, great. I mean, I don't see any harm in that. But again, like I said, I haven't delved into this whole world of online or dating apps or anything like that, so I could be completely off with my assessment. And we spent most of the evening. So after dinner, once we were all kind of out of the restaurant and whatever, and we ended up going back to a family house after to kind of continue the celebration. Remember when you could do that? Wasn't that fun when you could have a big family get together? And so I sat with him for a little bit. And again, he was all into the pictures, the cleavage. And I was kind of like, okay, but what does she say about herself? Like, what's, and then he's also getting sidetracked because you've got the pictures of her and then a bunch of her gorgeous friends at the same time. And so not only in that moment was I having thoughts about the way he was using the app, but then it just kind of made me wonder. Now, again, we've talked about this on the show a few months ago, maybe now. Anyway, so if I sound like you probably don't remember it anyway. So here we go. I host the show, and if I don't even really remember exactly what I was saying or how long ago it was, you probably don't either. Let me put that out there. So some thoughts that I had about dating apps. Okay, I feel that if you're wanting something long-term, it can't be based on the physical. Go figure. Imagine that, right? I mean, I don't need to recap the divorce rates for you. You know that relationships are sinking. And I wonder if a big part of it is because of social media. Now, I realize that social media and dating apps are two different things, but as I recounted on the show, I don't know. Again, recently, I talked about it on the show that people are using social media. There's so many people that hit me up on Facebook and say, oh, cute, or hi, how are you? And then all of a sudden, right away, are you single? Now, again, on my Facebook page, it doesn't say married. I don't link who I'm in a relationship with because, again, that's my private, personal life. Like, I kind of equate it going back to years ago when you worked in an office. You might have had a picture of your significant other on your desk, but that was also for you to look at and go, oh, I miss you. Now, like, I don't know if people do that nowadays. I don't know that people get really that comfy in their office, if they even work in an office anymore, right? Most people are working at home. But what I'm saying is, you didn't have the picture on your desk to go and say, oh, back off, I'm married. You did it because it was, comfort from home or whatever it is. So I find it very odd that you have to, it's sort of expected that you do that now. That your bio on Instagram or whatever is going to have the @ whoever your partner is, because you got to tell the world, hey, this is my man, woman, husband, whatever your partner is. And I've never subscribed to that. And when I've been called out, and people have actually like sort of laid into me going and saying, well, you're misleading. Oh, you know. First of all, it's none of your fucking business if I'm in a relationship or not. Like, my Facebook page is, I don't have, like, half-naked photos. What do you call them? Thirst shots? What is it? Thirst trap pictures? I've never done that. Yes, I have a decent body for a 38-year-old man, let me tell you. And so, as does my husband. Again, Brazilian fitness model. Hello. But this is just not something that, I don't need that kind of attention for my job, being in media or whatever. And I realize that there are media personalities that do that, right? I mean, Chris Cuomo, who's married and whatever. And again, I don't know that he's posting the shirtless pictures on the beach or, whatever it was before to get attention. Maybe it was. Again, I always wonder, why do you post what you do on social media? It is to get attention. That's what it's for. That's the whole platform. Whether you want to get sympathy, congratulations, a date, whatever, you're putting something out there because you want attention. You can't argue that. So when it comes to these dating apps, again, I sort of look at it would be like my Facebook page, right? I'm going to put what I think is the most important about myself. And so we looked at one. I didn't write down the name of it. We looked at a gay dating app as well, and I just, you know what? I wrote a whole shitload of notes. I didn't. Okay. Are dating apps helping or hurting relationships? We live in such a disposable society. People are always looking for something better. Oh, that's right. Okay. Sorry, I was reading my notes. And I think that that's also one of the issues, is that because people are constantly wanting attention with their photos and their, half-naked pictures or their big juicy lips or sticking out their ass like they're about to get a rectal exam. I mean, what is the purpose of doing that? It's one thing to do that when you're single to get attention, but is that really what you're wanting to be is that really what your attraction should be based on, right? I mean, you could always say that, right? I mean, well, Jeremy, why did you fall for this hot Brazilian tanned muscle? Well, again, our story is a little bit different. Is that I'm on the radio and he was a radio listener, and we emailed back and forth. It wasn't about video chatting. We weren't even on social media. It was somebody who emailed the radio show because he was entertained by what we were talking about on the air, and then it just developed into that. So yeah, I can absolutely go and say, that. Think about it back in the day, right? When you used to post a personal ad in the newspaper, it would, you'd get letters or even like a fax. You would post like a P.O. box number. And again, I'm talking to the older listeners on this one. And so I worry though that people aren't committed to that person, because you scroll Instagram and all you just see is, half naked hotties, and you're so easily distracted now by that person. Right? In our family, we have no divorce. My parents have been married for 40-some years. My brothers have been married for, I don't know. I mean, their kids are in their mid-teens already, so, do the math on that one. They've been married for, let's say, 15 to 20 years, the two of them. And, all those relationships started before social media, right? And now, like, the younger generation, so, like, my cousin's cousins, so whatever that makes them to me, that's the generation that has the app that I was the cousin that was just on the app I was talking about. He's my cousin's son, so he's the younger generation of cousin, and that's how they know dating, right? For me, if I were okay, so let me just go pretend now I'm single. I've always actually been sort of a homebody and a loner anyway. So quite honestly, I've been fine. When I was single for 30-some years, I was okay with that. It actually really didn't bother me. But anyway, so if I'm single now, if suddenly I'm single, I would probably end up telling off people, because quite honestly, if I'm not going to get replies because I'm not half naked, or I'm not upfront and saying, well, I'm a top or bottom and blah blah blah. Well, that is such a horrible icebreaker. I remember back in the day, going to the gay bars, and you'd just dance, you'd talk, you'd have conversation. The people didn't, I guess sometimes they had their shirts off, but you didn't know what they looked like half naked at that point. It was just a matter of, are we having fun dancing? And no, did he buy me a drink? And it was based on the social atmosphere. And so that's what I would want. If somebody insists on messaging back and forth, I have no patience for that. I really have no. To me, I know that you are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scoping out 20, 30, 40, 50 other people, and suddenly now it becomes a People's Choice nomination or award at that time. I want to know that, you're writing back and forth to me, great. Not that I'm territorial, not that I'm possessive, but at the same time, I have no interest in writing hi and then waiting 2 days to get a reply, and then how are you, and then so basically we have one sentence that takes us a week to play out. That doesn't interest me, and so I'd much rather just cut to the chase. Give me a call, let's talk on the phone for an hour, see if our personalities jive. I'm not doing a video chat with you because I don't want you staring at me the whole time and going, oh well, his nose is a bit big, or oh his no conversation. That's what wins me. If you don't like it, forget it then. Get lost. Go to one of the superficial people who, is going to be just based on looks, and that's that. And so, again, in my instance, we had emails back and forth that were almost, I would say professional. It was, I'm the radio host, he's the listener. He shares his opinion about something, I reply, thanks for listening, and then, it became flirty over time. And that's just the way it worked. And then it was months and months and months of this. Because again, it's not like I was on the prowl, and I don't think that he was either. It was just like, hey, we actually... And this also happened, let me just tell you, probably about 12 or 13 years ago, there was a straight guy from South Africa who was tuned into the radio shows and would tell me about... we had a web poll. We had a different sort of like a web poll question every episode, and he would reply all the time. And we had one about dating, and so he told me about this woman that he had gone on dates with and told me about it. And then he showed me pictures of him and his sister, and then emailed me things. And again, before social media, this wasn't playing out on Facebook. And then just through the course of, emails and conversation, whatever it was, he did call into the show a couple times, so we actually had phone calls. And turns out that he is kind of like questioning, but bisexual or whatever it would be. And again, I don't know that he was on, scoping it out and going, hey, because I'm talking on the radio, right? We didn't have photo galleries of me everywhere that he's, thinking that I'm a hottie and that he wants to get with me. But again, maybe I could be naive. I could be completely wrong on that. I am a bit of a hottie, right? So when it comes to our disposable society, I mean, I think that's kind of where we go wrong in relationships, is that, okay, I've got the ripped, tattooed, tanned Brazilian fitness model, but wait, here's a bigger tattooed, with more money, big dicked fitness model that I can, ride for the next 3-6 months until I find the next one. I mean, it's so ridiculous to me how people view relationships. And that's also sort of what scares me about the whole social media thing. Not that I tell, I don't go and say, you can't be on social media, don't post half-naked pictures, don't do that. But you also, to me, that puts just extra pressure on me to be secure and confident and go, well, he is a model, so he's out there. I mean, that's a profession that you can't really smother a person and say, don't put yourself out there. I mean, you got to get work and you got to, But I also realize that in today's world, what's going to get, he's getting more response from the average people, than work, than potential bosses, than modeling agencies, than fashion lines, than what, I mean, those, yes, you're getting the odd person. So, I'm confident in the relationship, but I just kind of see where people are based so much on the visual that it's tough, and it worries me, and I just feel so. I almost kind of just feel bad for people, and especially to the fact that you look at one picture. I mean, you have one picture that pops up on your screen, and then you just disregard the person because of what they look like. Like, to me, that's so harmful. And again, the reason why I got into radio and newspapers back in the day was because you didn't have to see me. You could be impressed with what I had to say on the radio, or read, in what I had to write. I was articulating myself in those mediums. I didn't want to be seen because it was so much of a distraction, and I didn't want that. I felt I'm intelligent. I make a good point. I have a good argument or whatever it is. That's why you're going to like me. Again, not that I wasn't ugly. I wasn't overweight. I wasn't, it wasn't anything physical. I just wanted to not be liked for that. And, I realized that today's world is so completely different, Okay, so is one pick enough to make a decision? Yeah, so I feel that it's kind of weird, right? People look at it one pick. Well, what if that person is, hilarious? Or what if that person, and maybe you could be out on the hunt for money, that person could be a millionaire. Maybe you're wanting somebody with money to take care of you, but because he or she doesn't look a certain way, suddenly, that's just, I don't know. That's also what I don't like. I wouldn't want to put myself out there. It wouldn't make me feel bad. That's not what I'm saying. It wouldn't harm my self-esteem. Then again, I haven't done it, so maybe I could be wrong. But I would just resent the platform so much. And if anything, I would probably write in my bio, almost like coming out swinging at people. I would thank them for reading, because obviously that's important. Thanks so much for reading my bio, my page, whatever it is. And I would put this way further down as well on it. If you can choose the layout, I don't know that you can. But definitely I would go and say, if you looked at one picture and you judged me, well, piss on you. I'm not the person for you. But if you're open-minded and you read these, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs that I wrote about myself and putting my heart out there and, telling who I am, then I appreciate that. And again, you could call me a hypocrite and go, "Oh, come on, if you're going to get some really big, slob, who's broke and whatever." You know what? Again, my guy came from a third world country that, the power went out at his place when it rained. It's no. So don't give me that bullshit about superficiality, really. So I don't know. And again, back in my 20s, so before the whole dating app scene and social media and all that other stuff, I was going out for dinner with people all the time. It's not that I wasn't getting around, because I will be totally honest with you, I did not put out. And that's actually why a lot of guys didn't want to get together with me or stick around anyway, because I would say no. I'd be like, yeah, this isn't a relationship right now. I'm doing that when I'm in a relationship. I mean, think about somebody saying that to you nowadays. Not worth the time. See ya. Be gone. I mean, yeah, there are some circles of people that, still feel that way and live with those ideals. And I was one of those people. But then very quickly I was just like, or at least I've got to be comfortable with you to do those things. That's ended up what it was. And, And at some point I did have to kind of put down that whole, well, I want the person to be a virgin just like me. And now again, like I said, I was 19, 20, 21 years old, and easy sex was not as rampant on your phone as it is now, right? There weren't apps to do that. You would go to a bar. You'd basically have to wait until Saturday night at the bar to meet somebody and hook up and go home with them or whatever it was. And even then, there was one night, very quickly, I'm so late on this, we have to go to a break, but there was one night that I was at the bar, and I actually did go home with somebody. Now, here's the deal, is that he was a friend of a woman that I worked with at the time. So I knew who he was, because actually he dated her brother. But I still knew who he was. I knew that he was a good guy. Their relationship split because of... It's not because he was a bad guy. Let me just put it that way. So the ex, let's call him, was respected by their family. So it's not that this is a shady guy. I wasn't a rebounder, but yes, I did go back to his place. I stayed the night at his place. We did not do the bang bang, as you might be thinking. I slept there because I fell asleep there, and then he drove me home in the morning, and I had to go to college. I had to go to class the next morning, and so whatever. And did I hear from him again? No. And why not? Probably because I didn't go all the way and I didn't do it. And you know what? I feel that I'm better for that. No judgment on the people who do it, but to me, it wouldn't have made me feel comfortable to do that. Okay, we've got to take a break. I still had more to talk about. Can we keep going on this when I come back, or should I just keep going? Tim, what are we doing here? Somebody give me a quick prompt here. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back on The Scribble.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Why do I have the feeling this episode is going to be called The Dating Show? I just sense that happening. But again, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to give you the email address. They just told me to remind you to email in, share your thoughts, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. And I just want to reiterate that I'm not judging people who use dating apps. Like I said, I think it would be cool. It's just not for me. I prefer to have a conversation. So yes, maybe we message back and forth on the first night because maybe I like what you look like and what you said, and ditto for me, and then we have a 3-hour phone call that's not a video chat, but we have a conversation. That if you're into that, then that would work for me, right? But again, I also realize that there's people who are shy and who just want to message back and forth, and that's your way of communicating. To me, I would never be able to have a relationship that we just like texted back and forth all day. Not my thing. I couldn't. I would prefer a guy who's, my phone's going to ring, I'm going to pick up the phone, and because you're calling me to say goodnight or whatever it is. I don't do the, The one thing that I did appreciate and accept before he moved to Canada from Brazil was with the time zone difference, I appreciated him not calling when he would wake up, which would have been, 5 in the morning for me. And I don't sleep with my phone anyway, as I've talked about many times. So I did appreciate that he would text in the morning to say good morning, because my phone was on a completely different floor of my house anyway. So him calling would have just been pointless because I wasn't there, right? So this was when he would wake up, I'd have a good morning text. Otherwise, we would... Once things progressed, we were actually having video chats every night for, I would say, 2 to 3 hours on end. Like, it actually sort of consumed my life. And that was the kind of way that I would want the relationship. He wasn't in Canada, or I was in, was I in Los Angeles or Canada at the time? I don't remember. Either way, I was somewhere in North America, and that was that was devotion, was that it was those evenings. I know that you can't be talking to other people because we are having, that is our 2 to 3 hours together. Yes, maybe you were messaging people back and forth. Maybe you were on a dating app in the afternoon or something while I was working or whatever it is. But tonight, you've devoted that time to me and I to you, and that gave me some comfort. And to know that I would get a message, I would have the message, okay, he's thinking about me in the morning. Like, that's what made me feel secure. If it was based solely on the physical, that it just, I don't know that it would have worked, because especially when you're in two different countries like that, I mean, that's a real commitment right there. If I'm going to go and fly to another country just to get laid, it's that's, I mean, yeah, I guess people would do it, but just not my thing. So, I'm just fascinated by the way people do. Early on when we started doing this podcast, we had two people who I watch Bachelor with, and I don't know that they still do. It's been a few years, but they were part of our Bachelor viewing group, and we did a 3-way chat, and they were on dating apps. The two women were on dating apps, and I just found it fascinating to hear how women were using dating apps and what they expected or what they wanted from a guy. They were both straight women, and so now I definitely want to hear from you live at jbonair.com. Have you had these experiences where you're sick of being judged for what you look like? Do you find, now I did read somewhere that it said that if the people who don't post pictures and just write about themselves don't get as many responses. I can imagine that to be true, yeah. But certainly the people who, if all you're doing is showing off your body, it does sort of make you wonder, is that all you have to offer somebody, right? I always joke about the love me for my mind photos. Well, you're half naked in the bathroom mirror. So are we just going to be, are we going to be doing boom boom in the bathroom all the time? Is that kind of what the appeal is? Is that what you're offering me? And I sort of lose respect for those people. I really do. And I realize that, now let's talk about Brazil again for a second. I realize that that's also just the culture there. The culture there is to be half naked and do these selfies and show off and be addicted to social media and get the attention. I get that that's just the way it is, but I remember having a blowout actually with my guy the first time when he did come and to visit, that he just would not put down the phone, and he was just like chatting all the time. And I said, look, you are here to visit with me, and and I think the good thing was, and I did actually open up about this during our Christmas break. I think I talked about how the first time that we actually got together was during Christmas with my family, and I think it was actually kind of good for him to land in Canada and within 1 hour go and meet my family, because he didn't have time to be on the phone. It was a whirlwind trip. Now, he was in Canada for, 4 days, I think. And so, yeah, he didn't stay for New Year's. So it was between Christmas and, he came Christmas Eve because we went to my parents' house within the first hour of him landing, and then he was gone by 27th, 28th. And there was absolutely no time, and I loved that. And I said to him, we're not going to be doing like these Bachelor style dates, right? Where these whimsical, it's not going to be magic every night like you see on The Bachelor. But yes, there's going to be downtime. But right now with Christmas, we're going from family get together. Then we're going to come home. You're going to hang out with the dogs. We're going to spend time together. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to drink eggnog. We're going to cook something. Then we're going with another family get together tomorrow. Then you're going to go and meet another family member. And then you're going to, and that I think was good. We had busy time. But yeah, if somebody, and I got a message from somebody after we did our last, do we have to go for break again? Shit. Okay, quickly. After we talked about dating the last time on the podcast, somebody actually emailed me and said, I'm actually going on a date tonight because our podcast comes out on Fridays. This person had a Friday night date. And I followed up the next day and emailed, and I was like, so how did it go? And one of the first questions I asked, because they went for dinner, I said, were phones on the table or in the pocket? And he said both of our phones were on the table. And I was like, I don't know how old he is. I should email and find out how he's young anyway. But that was my thing. To me, there's just some deal breakers. We go for dinner. If your phone is on the table, unless you've got a family member who's in critical condition and dying, I don't want your phone on the table. Yep. And I did. I actually, one time at the house, I literally threw his phone across the room. I threw it onto the love seat. And I was like, no. We're watching a movie together. We're cuddling, whatever it is. The phone is not here. And then we ended up enacting the rule that the phones just stay on the kitchen counter. If it's together time, where we're either watching TV or with the dogs or whatever we're doing, that's fine. If I have to go to my office to do some work, then fair game on the phone. But yeah, not when we're together like that. we got to take a break again. Then I got to wrap up. We'll be right back.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. They're already counting me down. I've got like less than 30 seconds. Feel free again to give me a shout anytime. Live at jbonair.com is the email address. Live at jbonair.com. All this relationship chatter. And somebody had asked when my husband will be on the show. He was actually on the radio show, by the way, several years ago during that Christmas that I was talking about. But I'll just get to the other dating-related topics in an upcoming episode. So again, thanks for tuning in. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,